Today's topic is a bit of a controversial one. We are talking about how to write full-length manuscripts for Amazon KDP using ChatGPT, which obviously when ChatGPT first came out, everyone was very skeptical about it, ourselves included. However, we realized you kind of have to just get with the times, otherwise you're going to get left behind. So yeah, we're going to today talk about how we use ChatGPT to write our books for us.
Yes. Awesome. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so before we go any further, it's very, very, very important to say, no, you can't come to ChatGPT and ask it to write a book for you and then publish it on Amazon. That is not going to do too well at all. When ChatGPT first came out, I think it was November, December time, there was a huge rush of people using it and publishing really, really, really crappy books. And you could just tell they were written by AI. They didn't have a human flow to it. Didn't have much flow at all to the book, to be honest with you. We actually did purchase a few of these books ourselves, and you could just tell they were pretty crappy. So that's what not to do, but you can now use it to write a full-length book, but it has to be done in a very, very, very specific way to avoid being flagged by Amazon, but also to just sound humanly written, sound naturally written, and to sound like it's written by a human, which is so, so important because this gives a good reader experience. I mean, there's two main downsides of using it how people used to. First of all, you're going to get bad reviews pretty quickly if you produce a very AI-sounding book. And yes, it might sell well initially for the first week or two, maybe month. But as soon as you get those reviews starting to come in, your sales are just going to absolutely plummet. So it's just a bit of a wasted exercise, to be honest with you.
People can tell.
People can definitely tell, yeah. And also, as self-publishers on Amazon, we should be very wary of the fact that our customers on Amazon are our customers, and if we are putting out crappy books, unfortunately our customers are eventually going to catch on to the fact that Amazon is allowing crappy books to be put onto Amazon, and they'll shop elsewhere. So it's important to always produce high quality books, and we can't stress this enough. What we always preach to, well, for our own publishing business and also our students who are publishing books as well, quality is king. You always have to produce high quality books. Okay, so with that out of the way, how do we actually go about publishing and creating our own books using ChatGPT then?
All right, yeah, so we're just going to kind of briefly take you through exactly what we do. It should give you a pretty good idea, to be honest. It's not that crazy of a process, but it's just that you have to do some parts in a very specific way. So first and foremost, obviously, before you even ever get to ChatGPT, you should have already chosen a book topic that you have done profitability checks for and that you know is actually going to, make money on Amazon. Obviously, if you're just writing a book as a passion project, that's totally fine too. But if you're doing it to make money, then you want to make sure that that part is done first. And secondly, actually, before we go any further, we just want to clarify that we only personally use ChatGPT 4. We do not use the free version. The free version of ChatGPT, honestly, is terrible compared to the paid for version, and it's only $20 a month.
Cool. Right, let's get on to the actual book writing itself then. So as Angelina said, we've now chosen our book topic. Let's just say Growing Bonsai Trees for Beginners was a profitable book for us. For those of you out there, we didn't do any research for this.
Yes,
all right, this is
just an example. Completely be a shot. Yeah.
So all we need to do to ChatGPT is type in this. I want to write a book titled Growing Bonsai Trees for Beginners. Please write a very detailed outline for this book. For those of you who've used it before using this method, it's going to provide you a very detailed outline. It comes up with 10 chapters and a conclusion and an introduction chapter. And to be honest with you, you probably could use this as is. However, as we said at the beginning, we want to produce high quality book, or the highest quality book that we possibly can. And therefore, there's a bit of extra work to be done before we actually just use the outline that ChatGPT gives us. From our previous method of producing outlines, what we do is we do extra research. So if we were going to publish a book on growing bonsai trees for beginners, we'll be doing extra research to make sure that this outline that it's given us is how we want it. And if there's some chapters which we don't want, or some sections of chapters that we don't want, we can take them out. Or if there's anything that we've noticed from our additional research that we do want in this outline and that ChatGPT hasn't given us, then we can put this in. So an amendment could be, you could just type it in the bottom down here, can you please include chapter X in addition to this outline that you've already given me? and then it will give you a completed outline or an updated outline. So that's the first thing. And as you can also see here, it's broken it down into mini sections, and this is really important. And this helps us to actually write our book. Because we can actually deal with mini section, I call these mini section at a time, instead of getting it to write the whole chapter at a time, which won't be as good.
Yeah, definitely. You can actually go onto, I always like to say this just because it's true. You can go onto OpenAI's website actually, and there's a part on there where they actually say themselves that the longer a response is from ChatGPT 4, the worse it's going to be basically. So basically the shorter sections you can prompt it in, the better, and the more accurate they are likely to be. Oh, also one other thing that's important to note. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to, as you're writing everything, you're going to want to kind of be exporting this into some sort of other document, just so you have it all external as well. So like for example with the outline, you could just we always just use Google Docs, so you can just copy and paste kind of everything into there as you go, in order to then start making your edits and just to keep everything kind of in one place.
Okay, so now we need to get on to actually writing the book. Let's just say that the outline that it gave us was what we wanted to use, and we made the relevant amendments that we needed. So how do we go about writing it then? So we want to go by, as I said before, mini section at a time. So we'll literally start at the top here, and as you can see here, it says introduction to bonsai, blah, blah. So we're going to go down here is, I want you to start by writing this section. That is the first mini section. And then I just put a little bit of text here. Obviously, you can tailor this to how you want your book to actually sound, but I wanted it to be very detailed in writing, and also to give some clear examples in this introduction. And I want the tone of the book to be professional but conversational, so it's informative and interesting. And I want the length of this part of the book to be 300 to 400 words in length. So I asked ChatGPT to do that, and it's come back with, to be honest with you, a pretty good sounding introduction, or first bit of the introduction. However, for anyone that's used ChatGPT before, you're going to know two very, very important things. So first of all, we don't know if this is factually correct or not. So what we then need to do is we need to make sure that it's factually correct. So this goes with anything that it gives you. We want to be fact checking all the time to make sure that our book is factually correct. Reason being, again, two reasons. We want to make sure that our readers have a good experience. If they have a good experience, we're going to do better in terms of our sales point of view. But also, we don't want to be putting garbage onto Amazon and putting factually incorrect books onto Amazon. That is an absolute no-no. Hence, the fact-checking part needs to be done. And then secondly, you would know that after a while of using ChatGPT, you can start to pick up and you start to know what is AI and what is not. And then that leads to an important part of our strategy, is then we want to humanize this text. So how do we humanize this text, Angelina?
All right, so ironically, the humanizer is more AI. All right, so we've come over to AI SEO. This is just a website that, like I said, it is more AI, ironically, but it basically, what you can do is you paste in what ChatGPT gives you, and then you can click on humanize. And all this kind of really is, in a way, is like a paraphraser, and whatever softwares and systems they have in place, try to make it sound as human as possible. So basically, you paste in, you click on humanize, and I think it's loading here. It's almost done. Okay, so as you can see here now, it's basically changed it. So if you read kind of like the first couple sentences, bonsai, a term derived from Japanese word, blah, blah, blah. And then you can see here it's different. So bonsai, a remarkable art form with its roots in ancient China, derived from the Japanese word. So it keeps everything it keeps the actual, the message and the content the same, but it just changes the actual sentence structure and, makes it sound, again, just more human and less robotic. However, this is still not the final step. And so once you're at this point, this is where you're going to obviously be reading through every single paragraph and every single sentence and just changing anything that sounds too robotic. You obviously want to make it sound as human as possible. And also, actually, ChatGPT is AI, it doesn't have human experience like you do. So you might be reading through it and you might see a point where you can I actually have personal experience in this, or I have something that I can relate to this with, and you want to add that kind of stuff in, because that is where AI is going to be lacking. So
I will just say as well, not every single sentence that it spits out or that is in AI SEO, you're going to need to change it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we even go paragraphs without changing anything, because it sounds really good and it's actually what we want in our book. But there will be some, even a whole paragraph you might want to tweak and change to make it more human-like and just sound a bit better, basically.
Yeah, actually, that kind of reminds me of one other thing. So, as we were talking about fact checking, just as an example, this is like a sentence that you maybe would want to fact check. Like, it says that it's an art form with its roots in ancient China, derived from the Japanese words bon and sai, meaning tray and planting. This could be right, and to be honest, it probably is right. But the point is this is the type of sentence where you want to check it and actually make sure that it's accurate. Because if you end up publishing that and it's not true and it comes from Chinese words instead of Japanese words, for example, and somebody's going to read it, and if they actually maybe already know this, they're going to call you out on it, and it's just not going to be a good look. So super, super important to do that step as well.
Now we've got that out of the way, essentially all you're going to be doing, this is just the first mini section of the first chapter. All you need to then do is, after you've added your human sentiment and run it through AI SEO, add that to your Google Doc, and then simply work through step by step each of these mini sections, and repeating that process. Basically, it's not hard, it's not complicated, but it does take time, and that's something which I think a lot of people don't realize when people are writing, or when you're writing it the correct way with AI. It does take time, and if it's taking you 3 hours or 4 hours to write a book, you're doing it too quickly, you're probably just copy and pasting, you're going to get a pretty crappy book at the end of it. But if you do it properly like we've showed you, then you will come back with a really high quality book that is worthy of being published.
Yeah. I will also say, so after you've, written the entire book, and even after you've gone through and edited as you go through, another super, super important step is going to be to, once you have the end product, to read the whole thing through yourself. And also, just, you're going to have to do like a second round of editing, basically, and a second round of making sure that everything sounds good, because obviously as you're going through it, you're going to be staring at so many words, and like you're bound to lose focus at some point and miss out on some things that need to be fixed. So it's important to, take your time with this, like Chris said, and then also, like I said, once your end product is done, maybe take a couple days away from it so that your brain has a break, and then go back to it and really make sure that you're being very tedious on editing everything. And also, this is a step where if you feel like you don't necessarily have the, really, really great editing skills to do so, you can outsource this to some editor on maybe like Upwork or Readsy or a website like that. But yeah, again, super important that the end quality is always very, very high.
Yes, so that kind of wraps up how we write a book with ChatGPT. But this is only kind of one part of the overall publishing process. If you publish a book on Amazon before, you know it's more than just writing a book. It's more than just getting a book onto Amazon and hoping it sells. You need to have a complete process that you work through. AI can help with a lot of it, but at the end of the day, a lot of it will come down to your manual work, your intuition about choosing a book topic, for example, and then launching it correctly on Amazon. But yeah, I hope that's helpful, guys. And if you do have any suggestions of other videos that you would like us to include or to cover, then please do drop that in the comments. But yeah, anything else to say?
No, not really. Yeah, I think AI is a really, really great tool that is beneficial as long as it's used correctly.
Yes.
So I think we just want to leave you with that thing as well,
point,
as use it wisely. Don't take this and think, oh, I'm going to go put out a book in 2 hours, because that's the exact opposite of what we're saying to do. So just to,
don't abuse AI. Work with it. Work with it.
Yeah, definitely. Just wanted to tack that on to the end.
Yeah. Oh, and finally, actually, when you're publishing your book to Amazon, asks you if you've used AI or not. So that's the latest content guidelines they've released. So you just need to check the box that you've used AI to write the book for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Right, see you in the next video.